Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. Welcome to another edition of Defense and Diplomacy. I'm your host Sultan M. Hali. The geostrategic location of Pakistan has sometimes been looked upon with concern because Pakistan has been at the epicenter of a number of storms, and at the moment the war on terror is taking a major toll. But the same geostrategic location can be turned into Pakistan's strength because Pakistan can become the energy corridor for the whole world. But for this, we need the regional cooperation of our friends, mainly Iran and China. But let me not take away the steam from our very esteemed guests. We are honored to have in our studio today Ambassador Akram Zaki, former Secretary General. Welcome, sir. And we have with us Major Raja Mujtaba, thanks for the addition, who is also an analyst and runs the website Opinion Maker. So let's start with you. Pepe Escobar, a very renowned journalist, has just written an article which says why Pakistan should not be afraid of the aid cut or suspension by US because it has other options. And obviously in his article he talks about the same things which I just mentioned in my opening remarks, that Pakistan has pipelines and it has Iran and China. It's work in progress. What do you think, sir?
Well, I have always believed that Pakistan is very fortunate to be located where it is located. We have a three-dimensional presence. We are in South Asia, and the world sees us in South Asia because we were in the British Empire. But we are also in Central Asia, and we are in West Asia. We have a natural link with West Asia because of the Islamic culture, history, and Middle East. And some people even talk of Greater Middle East, these days. So my view is that Pakistan, because of these three dimensions, has a tremendous advantage. If we only see ourselves as a South Asian nation, then in the world's eye, we are at a disadvantage vis-a-vis much larger India. But if we add to us the dimension of the Middle East, where our people are working gainfully and our relations are expanding and they are excellent, and where we had the imagination to develop the concept of ECO, the Iran and Turkey, Pakistan ECO was expanded to include the 6 new independent states of Central Asia and Azerbaijan and Afghanistan. That was a tremendous opportunity, but because of the situation in Afghanistan, it has not yielded its potential. Therefore, our keen interest is to stabilize Pakistan. You have rightly said, we have two very important neighbors, China and Iran. And at the very beginning, in the early 60s, these are the two borders we demarcated. We not only signed the border agreement with Iran and China, we also on the ground demarcated the borders. So these are the two borders in peace and friendship. And we sometimes foreign presence creates problems, but between us bilaterally there are no difficulties. Of course, with reference to your question, aid cut, I don't see it a very serious matter. This 800 million which is being delayed or cut or whatever you like to use the word, they say it's only delayed, postponed, not yet finally cut, was linked to the presence of the trainers. And when after the events of May 2, Pakistan asked the extra members of the CIA and the trainers to leave, they as a consequence said, since this money was primarily for them, although there is a small element of reimbursement, they have tried to delay it. As far as the delay of reimbursement is concerned, I think this is breach of agreement. If we have spent money on operations on their behalf, then they have to reimburse us.
Point taken, sir. Let's move a little ahead, if you permit. Raja Saab, Iran was the first country in the world to have recognized Pakistan when we came into being on the 14th of August 1947. But our traditional links and relations date back to centuries. And it's time that we not only recognize it, we build upon it. What's your opinions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Hali. I am one person who has always been very much strongly promoting relationship with Iran. Not that I'm relegating any other relationship, but Iran in particular. Iran is our natural ally. It dates back to hundreds and thousands of years. And we have to see Iran in that context. And then we have common border, we have common seas. And in that we have a lot of potential to develop and strengthen ourselves. Although Iran was the first country to recognize us, but later on as the events developed, our relationships did not develop in the same sort of speed, or the warmth. There has been up and down and things like that. But now, at this critical time, I think Iran and Pakistan, they both have become need of each other. They need each other more than anybody else now, And the last visit of President Zardari to Iran is a very timely visit and a very significant visit in that respect, where they talked about common currency and the currency swap and things like that. But I will go a little beyond that, because there is a lot of a scope to develop between Iran and Pakistan. The government should strengthen their relations, and then they should sign some bilateral agreements with Iran. We should also incorporate defense, we should also incorporate student exchange, travel and tourism and things like that. And it should allow free movement of people and encourage and boost trade between the two countries. Once that is done, and we have a lot to gain from Iran, because Iran has a lot of oil to export to us, they have gas to export to us, and they have a surplus of electric energy also. So the more we get closer, and the people-to-people relationship, I am more always empathetic on that. We should be having more people-to-people relationship, because then that becomes the real strength. And that can only happen once we start the student exchange programs. We start the cultural tours across the border, And I would even go to the extent, if we can soften the borders to a certain extent, to ease the travel, it will be much better and in our interest.
And also perhaps improve the means of communication, especially there's a rail line running between Zahedan, but that needs to be enlarged.
We need to expand that railway track, and there should be frequent service between Islamabad and Tehran and extending up to Turkey and beyond, And we should also allow the air travel facility to open air sky policy should be operated.
In fact, there is a plan, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey railway link, which is a work in progress.
So we should also have open sky policy, where the two carriers of the two countries can operate freely, from any airport, in the countries.
With reduced rates, so that it is affordable for the common person.
Exactly, it has to be brought within the grasp of the common man, The telecommunication should improve, the road communication should improve, the air communication should improve.
Let me take another dimension. Ambassador Zaki sir, would you like to add something to this before I ask you about China?
No, I think I agree with what has been said. I have always believed the same thing, that Iran is our natural ally, and it was proved during the war in '65. The concessions that the facility that Iran provided us gave superiority to our air force vis-a-vis India. You know the details.
Even in 1971, sir.
71, of course, we didn't do so well, but 65,
we may not have done well, but their friendship and their solidarity.
They gave us the same facilities, but we didn't use it properly. In '65, we took full advantage of it. And I think now they have offered us, they are already supplying 35 megawatts of electricity to Balochistan. They have agreed to double it. They have offered 100,000 megawatts of electricity, which negotiations are going on. The pipeline project is in the pipeline.
But they say that they have nearly completed their portion of it. It's for us now to...
We hope that by next year, end of next year, this will be a reality. And once we have that, lots of our problems will be solved. So I think our relationship with Iran is very important.
So let's cap it at that, sir. I want to hear something about China's relationship with us vis-a-vis the regional cooperation, because you have served meritoriously for many years and have contributed to this.
Well, I would like to give you a little background. When we played a small role in bringing United States and China together by arranging Kissinger's visit.
1971.
Of course, it was the necessity of both sides. They wanted to wind up the war in Vietnam, and Mao Zedong was worried about tension with the Soviet Union because they had a fight in '69. So when President Nixon went to China, the first communique, which was issued, the Shanghai Communique of 28th February 72, Chinese insisted in including in it the security and stability of Pakistan and the cause of Kashmir. In 2009, November, when Obama went to China, from 72 to 2009, again in that, the Chinese insisted to put in the joint communique with the United States that we will work together for stabilizing Afghanistan and South Asia. So their interest...
If you permit, sir, let me interject. And 2nd May 2011, they were the only country that stood up and said that the sovereignty of Pakistan must be respected. And Pakistan is not alone, and its sacrifices must be recognized.
And when this so-called aid has been suspended, they also made a statement, we will stand with Pakistan and fulfill all their requirements. Actually, they have now 13,000 technicians working in Pakistan on 120 projects. And they have, in their own mind, made a special vision of co-prosperity with Pakistan. They are willing to go into major projects with buyback facilities into Pakistan. Unfortunately, our own internal situation is such, and we are not able to take advantage of that. But my assessment is that Chinese would be ready to invest up to $50 billion in the next 5 years into Pakistan.
That's a lot of money, sir.